Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Sue, and you've just stepped into Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Every week, I'll introduce you to a friend of mine, a remarkable entrepreneur who's not just changing the world, but also harnessing a secret weapon, time outdoors. Together, we'll dive into their journey, unpack invaluable business advice, and discover why embracing the wild is not just good for the soul, but also a goldmine for inspiration and innovation. Ready to uncover the secret that's boosting bottom lines and fueling joy? Hit subscribe and join us in the wild. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to introduce Michelle Holling-Brooks, the founder of Unbridled Change. She just lives up the road from me, so this is really, really cool. Michelle guides people through transformational journeys, helping them reconnect their body, mind, and heart and soul. Her unique approach, including equine-partnered coaching, helps clients create a bridge of connection back to their true selves. Get ready to meet a coach who's helping people unbridle their authentic lives. Michelle, welcome to Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. I cannot wait to talk to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Sue. I am excited to be in this beautiful vortex with you and see where it goes and how it can help support people.
I love it. I love it. So I'm so much like, oh, this is going to be so cool. But all right, let's start. I'm going to try to calm down. Tell me, who do you help and what problems are you solving for them?
Yeah, so we are, Unbridled Change is a nonprofit organization that is really dedicated to supporting people find the hope, healing, and growth they're looking for. And so we actually work with a pretty wide range of clients out here, from both in person with the equine-partnered psychotherapy and coaching side of our program into the online and the coaching side, which brings in that everybody wants to be with a horse. I love it, but I realize that everyone doesn't live where I live, and that's just not always the right avenue for everybody. And so we also have a huge program where I offer online coaching and support systems and healing and energy work on that spiritual journey. So we can meet people kind of where they're at, but ultimately the clients that I love to support and to help with have been through life's ups and downs. They have been somehow, the thumbprint of life has left an imprint on them that feels them separated from their true self and feels like somehow there's a gap between who they are, whether that's a physical illness or a disease that they're working with and trying to find a way to break free from, or the mental or emotional and spiritual side, that there's something dividing them from being able to be their true, beautiful, authentic self. And they want support to help break that down, kind of lean into that, and really just connect with the truth that they can feel from their heart, and that joy that they know is present in their life, or they want to cultivate in their life, but they just can't seem to get to it. So that's kind of what we do. And I always kind of think of it like, sometimes it feels like I'm a career coach, and sometimes it's a family coach, and sometimes it's a this type of, but ultimately to me, it's all the same thing, because it's about relationship. And so if you use the ripple kind of theory, if I focus my energy here and I get this piece feeling good, and I start to break out from some of those survival or trauma mechanisms that are keeping me small, it ripples to every part of our life. And that's just, I love watching that. So that's what I do.
That is so cool. The ripple effect is my very favorite thing. Like, I think we should be besties, right? Right now, I've just decided. Like, horses, the countryside, the ripple effect. It's an amazing thing. It's like, it's the most beautiful leverage. You can work with one person, and that impacts hundreds or thousands of others, like directly, indirectly, and all this. It's so fantastic. I get chills. I'm so excited about what you do. All right. So, and I know, like, you didn't just plop onto the earth doing this. And we talked very briefly, but there was a stint in Northern Virginia, which I think was probably not like that. So talk us through, what was your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, so I was actually born and raised right outside of DC in Northern Virginia. My whole family is military, and so it's just kind of that Mecca is where it is, and what's happening with that. And I love that. I loved that area of what I was in and what I was able to do. I was also this horsey barn rat weird thing. We didn't have horses, and so we would have to drive to the local place that had them, and I just wanted to stay stay there. So it was like this weird world between that city life and that hustle and the bustle, and then that oasis that would happen at the barn, and that kind of divide back and forth. I ended up going to school down here in Southern Virginia. And so it was kind of a roundabout. I was like in Utah, and then I was over here, and I was over because I was like eclectic in my desires of like what I wanted and following like scholarship funds, but eventually ended up in Southwest Virginia and just fell in love with the rhythm of it. And so I went back after graduating, and in my graduate program, I was back up in Northern Virginia, and I was working in DC, commuting in every day, and then commuting out to the barn. And so it's like this weird, like all this time in the car, all this time and everything. And I was like, I was very focused from a very early age that I wanted to include equine-partnered work into whatever I did. And that was because of my own history of an illness when I was 13, and how horses played a really big oasis for me in my own healing journey. And so it was something I always knew. And of course, horses sitting in the middle of a city, one, is crazy expensive, and two, it just doesn't really work. So I was always looking for that kind of like exit plan of like, where am I going to go? Even though I was running a program that was just outside of DC, and also then working in DC, and kind of going all over the place. I just really wanted to settle into a place that I could come in connection with the land, and from that land build out a sanctuary that people could be with, and allow themselves to really focus on their healing and their growth and their development journey. And so that was kind of the birth of when I was driving back from DC in a 2-hour commute to just get like this far. I was just like, and I was coming on my way out to the barn, I was like, I think I'm ready to live in a place where I can work and do this all in the same place. And Southwestern Virginia just popped back onto my horizon again. It was where I had really found my rhythm in college. And so it just became that place. And it was beautiful. And I loved coming back here and working. And it took a little bit of roundabout. I was a juvenile probational officer for a while.
I didn't see that coming.
Didn't see that one coming, did you? But it was beautiful because it fed right into building the relationships that I needed to work with people on the flip side, coming through the psychotherapy and social work side on the back side. So it gave me that. And then there was a residential facility that was located here that focused on at-risk youth, and they were trauma informed. And that was their big thing of working with attachment and complex trauma. And so then I went to work with them, developing out their equine side of their program. And then eventually it was just like, okay, I'm ready to build my own place. I've put all the pieces together. I've built out the repertoire of what I really want to focus on within my own business, and flipped that switch in 2008. And I can't imagine doing it any other way. I love partnering with other organizations, being collaborators with them, all these amazing things, but the freedom to be able to move, shift, and do what I feel being guided to come through me, and take Unbridled Change into these different stratospheres. It's just amazing. And I know like you could in theory do that within a regular schmegular job, but it's so much easier when you're the boss.
For sure. Oh my goodness, definitely. I love that so much. Like, I mean, everything, all of this, just the fact that you were able to see that potential and see this as a possibility for yourself, rather than, well, this is where everybody is. Like, I think a lot of people get hesitant to move to a rural area, like, and have a business. It's like, kind of limited, there's not enough people. No, with it being digital as well. And, horses, people can come to you, they will come to you, that's really, and then you made that choice for yourself and for your family and your business. And that's just beautiful. And since 2008, so that's great. What are you looking at? 16 years, almost 17 years.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And that's like what's insane for me. And if I look at like the unfolding of it, was very comfortable and working all in the equine space and had bigger staff and everything else like that. And then really right before COVID hit, I actually started feeling a lot I'm a meditation person and everything else like that. So in my meditations, I kept feeling you need to go to an online offering. You need to come out from like just building programs around the horses and really take the same threads that you've developed in all of working through these blocks and helping people set free and really offer it in an online space. And I was like, who's gonna like sign up for that? But I was like, okay, fine. It's gotten me this far because I actually started my business I had my first daughter, and in that same, took a maternity leave from the organization that I was running and building and doing everything for everybody else. And in that maternity leave, I was just like, why am I building this for somebody else? And I'm having to jump through all these hoops of what I want to do. I need to just do my own thing. And I was like, I just had my first kid and I have like a pretty brand new marriage too. I was like, this is not the best time, Michelle, to like back away from a company, And, but it was so strong, Sue. It was just like, nope, this is what we're doing. And so, yeah, in the same month that I had my daughter, I resigned from my position that I had built a program around, opened up Unbridled Change, and was off and running in 3 months with my own program. It was a little insane, not highly recommended.
Wow. You had 2 babies at once.
Yeah, I did. I gave birth to two babies at once, and they're both turning 16 at the same time, and working with that. But yeah, right before COVID, I really heard that. And I was like, I don't know how to do online courses. I don't know how to have platforms. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. And it was just like, just follow the breadcrumbs and put it together. And I was like, okay. And Unbridled Change shifted into the hybrid of having the different pots that you can be there. But what I love about it is the feeling, the same feeling I really wanted the land of Unbridled Change to help hold for our clients. It transfers to anywhere that I show up. And that's what I love,
Yeah. You're the secret sauce. I mean, the horses are adorable and wonderful and amazing and all that. And the land is beautiful and all that, but you become the secret sauce of this. And I love that you were mindful, that you could hear that whisper coming into you and that you acted on it. Like that is what you do, and you did it. And it's like all these people now can work with you around the world, right? What is that online, like, how does it look for them working with you?
Yeah, so the online portion is just as if you were like showing up for a one-on-one session with me, or in the treatment room for the energy work and the healing work, or in a meditation class for me. It just happens to be in a Zoom environment, just kind of like what we're doing right now. And so we have different courses, which are small cohorts, which are 10 and under, which really come together and travel through the different journey and work it together, really unbridling themselves from that weight, that ocean that has separated them from them. And those are beautiful spaces because you aren't traveling alone. Everyone's in different places throughout the world, but we're all focusing on the same one. Like, how do we connect back to our true self? And what I was thinking about, just slight sidebar, then we'll come back, is as you were saying, like, you're the special sauce. I am, but I also, the land helps hold me so that when I show up, it comes with that beautiful presence, because I'm able to like cultivate that in what feeds me and brings us up. And I just love that. So yeah, so that's
so great.
The online spaces. And then we have bigger group programs that we run workshops on about different like healing modalities or approaches and topic based, whether that's Enneagram or working with how to do somatic processing. So we have some shorter, what I call mini workshops, but they're not really that many. They're like 2 or 3 days where you get to come in and work with a specific topic, like an immersion, and then kind of build your practice around that, of how you want to set yourself free. So it's really beautiful. I love the freedom that it gives me to kind of respond to the requests of the clients that I work with. Like, hey, Michelle, we'd love for you to do a workshop on yada, yada. And I'm like, sure, let's put it together. And so there's a lot of movement in it, which I like.
That's so cool. I mean, that's an amazing thing that you've created, and it sounds like people are, really responding. How could they not? This This is fantastic. All right, now we also talked a little bit before. We have guilty little secrets, folks. The ways that we get ideas outdoors, I always ask about that. And it's usually walking in the forest, putting my feet in the ocean, whatever. Michelle likes to scoop poop. I like to mow. Don't judge us.
Until you've done it, and then you'll get it.
Exactly. And when you come here, and I'm sure if you go there, probably she can hand you a shovel and you can go.
If you really want to, we can take our session out to the paddock. You'll have a shovel, I'll have a shovel. We'll talk and scoop poop at the same time. You'll be amazed what comes in.
It's true. It's like the most bizarre thing, but I don't want to gloss over that, but you touched on something so incredibly powerful that I know has been a struggle for me. So you're the only other human that I've heard express it, and you did it so well, as far as like what happens when you live in a beautiful place like this. Your whole world, your existence, your life, your business, everything, has that tie-in to being outdoors, but we run into a challenge. So if you can just voice it again, it was so good.
Yeah. And I was just on a meeting earlier with one of my wonderful team members who's like in charge of our social media. And she's like, Michelle, I need more daily diaries. And I was just like, let me get back to you on that one. And she just kind of laughed because she knew the wall that I was hitting. And she was like, but it would be really helpful for people to get to know you. And so one of the things that is so core to me is the outdoor times, is the time where I'm in my sacred spaces. I'm just chilling in the paddock. I'm scooping poop. It's in those moments that it feeds me, and the walking out to the pasture in the morning and looking at the glistening sun on the frost was out this morning. So it looked just like the sea of crystals. It was gorgeous. And I had a thought right at the same time. I was like, wow, I'm meeting with my social media person and she's going to ask me for a 90-second clip and this would be it. And I went to reach for my phone and I just didn't want to do it, Sue. I just was hitting this resistance because I was like, and because that would take me out of the presence of the moment. And I know this is probably a mindset block, but it's a pretty big one that I'm currently working with. It's like, in sharing those spaces, because I do want to bring somebody into the magic of that moment. But what I was finding is that all of what I was doing is I was now working 24/7 in the spaces that I used to unplug from. All of a sudden I was plugged back in. And every time I looked at everything, it was like, oh, this could be a this, or this could be a that, or this could, and so I was losing the presence in there. So I kind of slingshot too far the other way, which was, okay, no, I'm taking any of it. I'm not going to do any, or I'll do one photo shot day and then that's it. And there's probably a middle ground in here somewhere. But I feel like other people have felt this too. In an age where people really want to see us in our quote areas that feed us, whether that's out on a pasture, looking at the sun, or that's you in your yoga studio, or that's you walking down the street with the busy, rhythms of the city that you sync to, that you love, whatever that is, people want to see that and connect with it because they want to connect with us. But if we start to do that, then it's almost like, how do we do that and be present at the same time? So that's my conundrum. Sure. That's my working edge.
Oh, that is a great one. And I'm so glad you brought it up because like I said, no, I've never heard anybody else put it into words, but that sense, I'll know, if I'm out doing whatever, mowing, whatever, and my husband will come out and he's like, oh, you ought to get content. I'm like, no, this is for me. I need this so that I can be, the ripple effect that comes from that. I value that so much that I'm not going to shortchange. And yet, we need to be able to create. So I've actually come up with a pretty cool thing that we may have to talk about it after, but it's this could solve that. And I love this so much. So there is a workaround.
There is a I am open and ready to receive this workaround because I got to tell you, this morning, I was like, this is the one. It's not that hard, Michelle. Just walk up the hill and push the button. And I didn't. It was I didn't want to do it. And so that's how I know I have a little saboteur up and running because I also am an archetypal consultant. So it's interesting staff meetings that I have inside my own head at time, but it's a real thing of what is that balance? Because once we become that entrepreneur, and content is such a huge piece of that, like how do we balance this? And it's a real, I think it's a real thing that probably more than just you and I are feeling, and want to like authentically have those content clips represent us, just feeling like another to-do list of a checklist.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, this is because otherwise, I mean, that's the thing that's fueling us. So it's like, how do we, how do we do both? Like still be fueled, but also, pass it on. So that gets hard, but man, all right. So where do you look, like, what do you feel like Unbridled is going to grow into beyond here? It's already, doing very well. You're impacting all these lives. Are you content with like where it is? Are you aiming for it to grow bigger? Like, what's next?
Yeah. So what's next is another growth opportunity for Unbridled Change. It's kind of funny, like when the name Unbridled Change came in and back in 2008, I did not like that word, Sue. That word change and I were like in simpatico. I liked things steady. I liked things predictable. I liked things to be in rhythms that I could just work with. And like when that name dropped in, I laughed out loud. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Unbridled? Yes, I love that. Change? You want me to put these two together? That means I'm gonna be constantly changing. And I was smart enough to like figure out what this business was up to with me. And I was like, oh wow, this is gonna be a thing. And it's a thing. So
it's a thing.
it's a thing. And it's beautiful because it does keep me growing, and it does keep me looking at what wants to be born through Unbridled Change. Who does it want to serve, and how does it want to help next? So where it's going next is an expansion into, I'm getting ready to publish my second book. And so I know it's so exciting. It's been in the works. So giving birth to another baby in 2025. And so and with the birth of that second book, it's really coming into creating these immersion experiences and these workshops that really help people step into the different ways in which they can awaken to that sacred witness within. Like, how can they start to allow themselves to really cross that bridge, over that ocean, to be able to show up for themselves and the choices they really desperately want to click. I want to start that business. I want to take this leap and be vulnerable in that relationship. I want to be able to pick up where I'm living and the rhythms I'm used to living to and move to a different place because it feels like I'm supposed to be over here. And something stops us from being able to do that. And that's just the noise of that fear of what if, right? A fear of like, will I lose more than I already have? Will it give me what I want to do? Will I be safe doing it? Will I be secure and supported doing it? What if I fail? All of those. And if we can learn to listen to this beautiful voice, the same voice that guided me, if we can learn to connect with that, then we can really learn to partner with our life. And there's a favorite quote that I have. It's by Osho, who was a meditation teacher. He's a little controversial, but we'll put that aside. Passed away in 1990. But he's controversial because he says to get off the cushion and that our life is our meditation. Right? And so it's not about the room meditating for us. And that's what brings us like peace and happiness. It's like, no matter where we're plopped down, we can find that stillness within us. And he has a saying that says, don't move the way that fear makes you move the way joy, move the way love makes you move. And when you start to really put that into play, if you think about it, think of how many little choices we make with a level of fear in there, right? And that's what's guiding us to like only play this much of the game or only do this much of something. And if we can release that and we say, what is my why? What is my love? And how does that want to make me move? Oh, that's what I love. So that's really where Unbridled Change is going to be focusing in this next coming year, because that's what the book's about. Freeing that up to be able to be in that, working through the trauma, the pain, the loss, the fear that comes from those experiences that really cuts us off from being who we truly be. So it's really exciting.
Is so cool. That is so cool. And you're so right. Like when we're in fear, it's like, we immediately become playing not to lose, rather than playing to win, like, and create wins. It's like this, like, versus, that expansive energy. And that is so cool.
Yeah, and when we're in that restriction and we're looking at that, then we're stuck in comparison. Then we're stuck in like trying to control our steps and guarantee that each place we put our step, instead of like that play energy of like, well, I don't know how this is going to work. Let's try and adjust as we go. If we're trying to really craft it as a recovering perfectionist, like it really does take the life out of us. And I think that's one of the things that getting out into nature is, it helps us really embrace all the different aspects, the tries, the wins, the seeds that make it, the seeds that don't, really inviting us to be more in a trusting rhythm versus trying to like have this content and launch, and, that's all good, but more organic freedom to shift and to adapt is really what I think also is something that comes in when we are willing to work with those rhythms of the land and working with different things like that.
For sure. And like the seasons and stuff, like this has been, we've been homesteading here since the end of March. So I'm learning so much, but oh my goodness, the sense of when we just live indoors and we're just on screens, we have no sense of daytime, season, any of this kind of stuff. And I think it's so easy to lose touch with the facts of like law of germination. So you have an idea, you're starting this, it's going to take some amount of time, and that's normal. And sometimes things like I just cleaned out the garden. I'm like, oh, these tomatoes are dead, and it was like, okay, some things die, you replant the next year. It's just those rhythms that we used to have. I think when we become so detached from that, not only is that a thing, but then we completely lose touch with how to play. Like, it's like, when I first started going outdoors, I was like, this is going to be buggy, hot, and boring. I don't want to do it. But after a while, I felt like a fifth grader. And the teacher was like, hey, recess time. Woo! We're going out, running out. It's so much easier to regain that sense of play, when we have that connection with being outdoors as well. What advice would you pass along to people, especially entrepreneurs who are maybe struggling to prioritize this? We've heard enough of work your face off. You can sleep when you're dead. What's some advice you pass?
I loved that part of your story, by the way. If people haven't heard your story, I really appreciated that that little moment that you had from your guru of saying, you can sleep when you're dead, because that is the one. And I was on that track, like go big or go home, supersize itis. Like, this is what it's going to be. I'm going to have not only a happy little practice, it's going to be the one, and I'm going to like franchise it and I had all these crazy, huge ideas in the beginning. And that's great if that's the rhythm that you want. Eventually, what I really figured out was like, I wanted a thriving, happy little practice that could be as big as it wants to be, but still feel like it's completely intimate for the person who it's interacting with, right? And so it can be big, and I'm totally cool with that, but I want the energy to feel intimate and held, and like it's meeting you custom just for what it is. And that really came from when I was out in nature, and I was like, it's so expansive, it's so big, and it is harsh. It's like, okay, a little bit of like, this is what we're doing, this is what and yet in that movement of that expansion, there are those little pockets, those little moments when you look at a spider web with some dew on it. And I'm not a spider person, but when I saw that, I was like, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. Or you're sitting there and you feel just the breeze on your face. And again, I think my guidance or my advice to people is to like find those moments. They exist everywhere, whether you're in a rural setting like where my business is, but even when I'm traveling and I'm visiting my family that's still up in Northern Virginia, and I'm working with different things, like it's all there if we can just unplug a moment and breathe with the environment that we're in. Connect to that, connect to the rhythms, the pieces, the voices, the heartbeats of that area. And it's just so like refreshing, and it brings ideas, it brings inspiration that you don't have when your head is down and you're just plugging through that content creation, that course creation, whatever it is. It's like there's and what's the word? I want to say enlivenment, but I don't think that's a word.
It is now. It's fine.
It is now. Like life force energy gets infused into it because it's coming from life into whatever you're doing, and you can feel that ripple. You can feel the stagnation of an AI generated thought versus one that organically comes through. And sure, use AI if you want to like help you. Like I use it to help do transcripts because I talk and do voice memos when I'm out picking poop, Yeah. But that organic play that comes in when we unplug, you can't replicate that,
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. The magic is in that pause, and I think so often, I know for me, and I've heard other entrepreneurs say the same, like that sense of if I stop moving, what if I can't start again?
Yeah.
If I stop, hurry, can I get it back?
That's because we're all tired.
Yes,
like we're all like
exhausted.
And so when we do that first pause, there's a wave that's just like a heaviness that we feel in our body. And it can be a little scary. But if we start to really bring balance in, now I'm bringing a little my meditation teacher in, like if we start to allow ourselves to have those pauses, even 90 seconds, 3 times a day, even like walking during lunch, if you do live in a city environment, or allowing yourself to just pause before going from the car or the wherever you're at to the next place that you're at. Even those little micro moments of those pauses, checking into the breath and noticing 5 things I see right now, 3 things I smell right now, 2 things I can touch right now. You might not want to do what can you taste right now. Might not. You'll be like, that would not work out too well, unless you can be like, oh, I can taste like coffee or my chai or whatever the heck it is, but just do that quick check-in. Again, more play, more life, more choice of how you're showing up in that next space than just a habitual momentum that usually is anywhere but really connected to who you truly be.
For sure. This is the best advice. I love that. All right. Where can people find out more about working with you?
You can go to my website, unbridledchange.org. It has tons of different information on it. It's because we are a nonprofit, I really want to have that free resources and availability. So that site is really designed to kind of meet you where you are, anywhere you're at on your journey, and give you some either meditation tips or tips like what I just gave, and healing tips. All those different things are all on there, along with the different programs that I offer, including on-demand courses. And then you can also like social media channels, and I have a beautiful podcast called Soulful Practices. And it's on break right now. I'm in between seasons 2 and 3. So you can catch up with seasons 1 through 2 if you want. It'll come back online depending on when this comes out, and I'll start back up in January of 2025. And that's a place where I take a quick quote, like move from love, not from fear, and give it a teaching about it, kind of break it down, get you thinking about it in your own life of how does this apply to you. Walk you through a Reiki meditation with it, and then set an intention of how to bring it into your week. Because again, if we just leave things on the cushion, that does not get us very far. We've got to take those intentions, and that's how we manifest, right? Like we set that intention, bring our awareness to it, and then flow with that, whatever's coming forward from that. And you'd be surprised how quickly you can shift things with that simple formula.
I love that. And it's so gentle. It's not, like a coach yelling and screaming at you and, hurry, 10X, do this, do that, it doesn't have to be like that, guys. Definitely check out Michelle's site. This is really, really cool. Any parting words?
No, I think that we've got it. Let's stick with the move from love. Like right now, let's do that one. Move from love and see where that brings you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me. I feel uplifted. I know that the listeners will as well.
Thank you.